Today on the show, I'd like to recap on four-wheel drive camping equipment and the sort of vehicles you need to go four-wheel drive camping and the equipment that you would need to use in case you get bogged. Good morning, I'm Barry Fear. Welcome to St. Ives Cast on this Tuesday, February 5th, and thank you for joining me here today on the show. Well, as I've just said, before we get into this week's show, just recapping the camping equipment and four-wheel drives and what you need to be prepared for when you go out off-road with a four-wheel drive. Now, the important thing is you must have a set of tools with you and a good jack to jack your car up in case you have a flat tire, and always have a spare tire. And joining me now in the studio to discuss this, good morning to my offsider.
Good morning.
And what do you think about having spare parts for the car?
It's very, very, very important. I actually, over the Christmas break, I got a flat tire, and when I went to change it, there was no jack in my car, and I just never checked. So the previous owner had taken the jack out, and I just assumed it was in there. So and we were in a very remote place, and we were very, very, very lucky that someone came past and was able to help, because it could have been hours that we were waiting.
So it's very important that you have a spare jack in case your jack is missing from the car, and always have spare wheel hubs in case one gets broken, and also make sure you ring someone before you take the four-wheel drive off-road in case the axle is broken, because you don't want to take the four-wheel drive out onto the tracks with a broken axle. It is very dangerous. Now, another thing I'd like to bring up on today's show is knowing what to do if you can't get out of a bogged mud hole, like we saw on the video there. You may have to stay where you are until dawn. Because in that video there, a couple of guys were trying to get themselves out, but the trouble was the tire came right off the rim. So you really have to be aware of how muddy the roads are before you drive your four-wheel drive vehicle into the bush, because you don't know how long it will be before first light appears. And it was 9:30 at night, and they were trying to get themselves out, and they couldn't do it.
It was very rough terrain.
And it was very rough terrain. So if you know that the terrain is going to be rough, please choose an alternate route to drive your four-wheel drive vehicle, because there is nothing worse than having to camp in the middle of a bogged track, and it is very annoying and frustrating because you have to wait hours and hours before light does break. So before you even go on your camping trip, decide on where you are going to go and which is the safe route, because in a previous video that I did watch, a guy rode his four-wheel drive and he was very lucky that he was not seriously injured. So, always make sure that you check how steep the hills are before you drive up or down them, and the same with the river crossings. Always check the depth of
How can you check the depth?
By getting out of your car, getting a stick and poking it in, and if it's not too steep, then you're okay, but if it's too steep, then don't risk it.
Yeah.
Because the last thing that you want to have happen, like I've said, is to get bogged, and then you'll have no chance of getting out before you reach your next camping place for the evening. So here's my offside view on this.
Yeah, so it's really important to check the depth before you go through. It's also important to check there's all sorts of different soils. And as we saw in this documentary we're watching, some soils are really sticky. The clays that are in rural places can be really sticky and even more hard to get out of when you're bogged into it. Like as we saw, like one of the tires came right off from being bogged. It got ripped off the wheel.
And always know how cold and wet the weather is going to be wherever you're going to camp, because if it's raining heavily and the track is flooded, we wouldn't recommend you drive your car through that flooded area.
Yeah.
Because chances are, again, you will be stranded, and that's not good.
And if you're going to do like the extreme sport, track riding, then it's important to go with a buddy. You don't want to do that alone.
And
if you're going to go in one car, then you've got to have a sat phone.
And always have a map of where you are going to go and a compass to know which directions you're going to be heading. And always have a meeting with your companion to decide what time you need to be away by and what time you are planning to reach your campsite for the evening.
Yeah, Australia is such a big country. There's so many empty spots, so many rough bushlands that are unpopulated. So it's really important to do your homework and check out the terrain of where you're going, plot your route, check out where there are camping spots along the way, so you don't get stuck in the middle of nowhere.
And always have two-way radio contact, because that is very important. You must always have portable radios in the car, and don't assume that it is safe to drive your four-wheel drive on uneven ground, because it's not.
Yeah.
Because you will tip over, and you don't want that to happen, because a camping trip can be fun, but also very dangerous. Well, after the break, we're going to be talking about our stress levels So we hope that this camping video has got you on the right track, and hopefully you and your mates would like to go on a camping video, well, a camping trip. And always, before we go to the break and go on to the next video, consider your health before you go away on a camping trip. Is there anything that you would like to say about that before we go to the break?
I'm just really enjoying watching all of these off-road travels, and I'm getting really inspired by it. Is it something you would like to do, Barry?
Yes, but considering the time that you would need and everything like that, and the weather conditions. So after the break, it's time to talk about the stress levels.
Yeah, stress management.
And this is the next part of our video we're going to be doing today here at Sin Times. So don't you go away. We'll be back in a moment. I'm Barry Fair. The time is 11:15.